llevan días y varias semanas.
He hasn't given no response, and it's been days, and it's been weeks, and he hasn't said anything. Y espero logren su objetivo de la justicia a su país. Luchen por su país. Say the best, basically fight for your country. Están bloqueando el acceso. ¡Viva! Porque la Policía Federal o la autoridad nos está deteniendo el acceso y nos está deteniendo el paso para poder cruzar hacia el Zócalo, señores.
Good morning to everybody. How's everybody doing? God bless everybody that is watching. I'm Oscar Blue for Border Network News on this 13th of May, Thursday, 13th of May, 10:53 in the morning over here in Tijuana, broadcasting you live from Tijuana, Mexico for every single one of you. God bless our country of Mexico, our city of Tijuana. And God bless the United States of America. Let's thank God for giving us 2 legs, 2 arms, a mind that we can think, a heart that we can feel, and eyes that we can see. Share this video, as censorship is really strong and is really difficult to broadcast in these conditions. But I am live in Facebook. I am live also at YouTube, in both platforms at the same time. So God bless everybody at YouTube, and thank you so much for joining in a Facebook. Wow, people. Now, let's talk about something that is incredibly happening now. All of a sudden, now you get the immigration factor, and this United Nations, this philanthropist, George Soros, as the leftists, cornflakes call them, and the tabloid writers called the philanthropist, George Soros, the Robin Hood of the people now, supposedly. These globalist compacts are just chaotic. They are a broken system. They don't work. Ultimately, we know that the globalist compact of immigration is a complete disaster. Everybody knows that. Everybody in the world knows that. Every country in the world that signed the globalist compact of immigration knows that it's a complete disaster. Everybody knows that this immigration situation, it is a complete disaster also. It is not manageable. It is putting migrants' lives at risk. It is risking their lives. It is lying to them, basically, that it is open everywhere, that there's no process that you can just migrate freely. It is just an evil and demonic pact that it does not work. And it goes directly to you, tabloid writer. You're a philanthropist. Defund, please, that philanthropist. That he is not helping directly to the cause. Now, with this globalist compact of immigration comes the globalist compact of the environment. That we were talking about it last night. That is the Paris deal. That is growing increasingly now to overwhelm every law and every constitution. How the globalist compact of the environment is going to tell the industries and the enterprises and the big gigantic monsters that monopolies that control the capitalists and the capitalism of the world. They are going to tell them, you need to lower down your contaminants because our world is failing, our world is falling apart, and the future of our children are at stake. So you need to lower down the contaminants of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and also hydrocarbons. So you need to eliminate, decrease that. Who is the priority factor who has been increasingly pushing this narrative? China. So who is the one that is ultimately pushing the globalist compact of the environment first? China. And who is falling in their tail? Everybody else. But the two countries that they are contaminating more, it is China and the United States. So with this, every company, every vessel that is transporting containers around the world, now it is falling into the globalist compact of the environment that is the Paris deal. Now, we were talking back in 2020 that in the 14th of May of 2020, there was another global compact that it was going to be signed. And it was the globalist compact of education, that it was going to come strongly into the United States of America and ultimately to all the countries that they have signed the before compacts. That is immigration. Now you got the Paris deal, and now it is the complete plan of the Agenda 2030 that is indoctrination of our children. That is the globalist compact of education. The Pope, they are using the Pope. The United Nations are using the Pope to make believe the people that the most holiest person that is close to God, that is supposedly the Pope, this man, it is a globalist. This man ultimately is using his, disguise and his, his representation of the most holiest person close to Jesus or close to God. That for this, he's pushing the globalist compact of education. He spoke back in the 14th of May, but he hasn't spoke and he hasn't said anything about the globalist compact of education. He has not brought it up again. And guess what happened? So first and foremost, this is Miguel Cardona. Who is Miguel Cardona? For everybody that is watching, thank you so much for joining. Buy me a coffee. It's on the top and also it's on the description box. If you guys want to contribute to my work, buy me a coffee. It is right there. Thank you so much for contributing to my work. Also, my PayPal is right there. Support independent reporting. Thank you so much. Buy me a coffee. So this is Miguel Cardona. Who is Miguel Cardona right here? Miguel Cardona, it is the education secretary. And he is saying that he's delivering a simple yet powerful directive to school systems across the country. If we can safely reopen now, we should be doing it. Now that supposedly Joe Biden has accomplished the vaccination of the whole country of the United States of America, now Miguel Cardona, that you see him right here, that he is the Secretary of Education in the United States of America. He wants to reopen the schools. And, it is unbelievable, but yes, it's a thing that it needs to happen. Education needs to come back to schools with the proper precautions. Now, it says Tuesday's visits were part of the Secretary. Help is here, he said. Tour, which kicked off last month following the Education Department's release of tens of billions of dollars in the new federal aid to help the K-12 school to reopen. Part of the $130 billion for schools included in the latest coronavirus relief package. Philadelphia alone is expected to get $1.7 billion in federal aid, or nearly $13,000 per student. So he says this: we talked about the American Rescue Plan and the funds going out, quote unquote. Cardona says, quote, again, all that is secondary to what we are trying to get here. Get students back around each other and get them back with their teachers. The pandemic will determine how quickly we can come back. But if we're going to do the mitigation strategies, we can safely return to school. Also, he quoted, It's not just resources. He continued, it is leadership. And right here, there's a logistic and a stat that says, as it stands, just 26% of fourth graders and 18% of eighth graders in cities and schools were receiving full-time in-person learning in February, according to the latest batch of data from Education Department released on Wednesday. Those figures are significantly less than the 47% to 50%, 57% of fourth and eighth graders who receive full-time in-person learning schools in a rural or town setting. So this is Miguel Cardona pushing now the situation, which is, they're trying to push to reopen the schools. That is extremely important. Now, after this, who do you think that just spoke 4 months ago? Now that they're trying to reopen the system, reopen the schools. Let me just translate what this globalist compact of education is going to be at. And watch out, people, because it's coming. It's coming. The globalist compact of education, now that they are achieving the globalist compact of the environment, now it comes this right here. It comes to this. The globalist compact of education. Everybody is saying, okay, we got the globalist compact of the environment, that is the Paris deal. Now we have the globalist compact of immigration, that everybody's free to migrate so we can help the people that they're in necessity and for a better life, and he. Now we need the education to be implemented. Now we need the globalist system. Listen to his language. This message was 4 months ago. This is a pope that he never spoke. He never spoke about the pandemic during the year of the pandemic. He spoke all the way to September, or finishing September, close to October. And he started speaking about, guess what? And I am going to use the word just once. He started speaking about the vaccine. He did not give a message to the world about it's a time to heal. It's a time to be close to God. It's a time to find God. It's a time to find the Creator. It's a time to be close to the Creator so the Creator can be close to us and he can help us understand the situation that we're going through and he, and all this kind of stuff. No. He emphasized specifically on the backs, that is Sputnik 5 from Russia. The same Sputnik 5 from Russia that gave 300,000 doses to Argentina. Remembering to all of you guys that the Pope is from Argentina. Remembering to all of you guys. So this is what he says. I will try to translate because he speaks in Spanish. But this is real easy for you guys to understand where this is going. Now, everybody knows where the Paris deal is going, and I explained to you guys now gas shortages yesterday, as gas shortages are particularly now happening around the world, and you got China that is saying that they want to decrease the contaminants of hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, and carbon dioxide in the automobile industry to 2035, 2030. They want to decrease it 65%, and by 2060, gasoline will be done. Electrical cars will be the ones that it will be running. So this is unbelievable how every piece of the puzzle, all these globalist compacts are pieces of the puzzle for the new world order, the Agenda 2030. I'm sorry for the tabloid writer that is saying consistently, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. I'm watching and I'm seeing, and it's my freedom and it's my right. It's my body, it's my right. Like you say, it's my body. Okay. It's my body, is my right. I can explain how I see things. So you got the globalist compact of immigration, a complete disaster that everybody knows now that is the most disorderly way to migrate. You got the globalist compact of the environment that is going to particularly put every gigantic monopoly company into the rules of the new world order rules, the new rules to new rules of the new world economy. That is, if you want to be part of this growth economy, you have to be part of the Paris deal. Ultimately, the Paris deal comes with the World Health Organization restrictions. That is, all your personnel has to be vaccinated. All your personnel has to be la la he hoo. That's so cute, Nani. All that kind of thing. So this is the Pope speaking about the globalist compact of education. This is coming, and I'm predicting this to happen this year. This year is going to happen, people. Remember this live feed as not too far from now. Give it to September, October, probably November. They're going to be talking about seriously of how they are going to boost the education and how the education is going to be reformed. All those history lessons that we had, reform the education. Look what he says right here. And I will play this video. The education is always an act of hope. That on the present, it looks to the future. The static education is non-existent. The reunion of today in the house of Pio Cuarto is an act of hope and solidarity. In a general way. Is an act of hope international. Look at his language. He says the young leaders in the global education people, the global teachers. Look at his language. This is what he said. He says the young. Let me return this right here. 20 seconds right here. Look what he says. The young leaders and the global educators. He consistently, this is what we have to be putting attention to, people. The language that they use. It's extremely important that we put every time that we hear these kind of leaders, if they emphasize one word again, he said it again. Again, he said it again. Again, he said it again. It's because they want you to catch that word. They want you to digest that language. They want you to be understanding that is the main subject of this topic. That is globalization of education. Look what he says. So he talks about the globalist leaders. So he goes on and says this. These global leaders and these global educators, they are reuniting in every part of the world to propose a new way of education that its intention is to surpass the actual difference of globalization of indiferencia, to be indifferent to another individual, to be indiferencia, to be not quite the same of other individual, to be fair to other individual under a globalization, against globalization. And the culture also, to be fair with culture. Those are two really bad things on our culture. The greatest difference and not being fair. The indifference and the unfairness. This has been an extraordinary year of suffering due to the pandemic of COVID-19. A year of isolation, obligated isolation. A year of exclusion and of a spiritual crisis. And not just barely little debts. And a big, gigantic crisis of education without precedent. More than 1,000 million kids. They have encountered interruptions on their education. Hundreds and millions of kids they have fallen behind on these social developments in their homes. In a lot of places, the biological crisis and economical. And they have suffered a lot due to the political crisis and social crisis that they are affecting, the certain particular countries. You guys have reunited today in an act of hope. That is how they're going. This is how they're going to smokescreen this as an act of hope. An act of hope. It is not, they say, a globalist compact, but it's an act of hope. Like immigration, the enormous influx of immigration is an act of refugee and asylum. It is always something else to cover the global compact. Always the language. It is really important, the language, how they manifest themselves at every statement. Look what he says next. An act of hope for the impulses of hate and hatred and ignorance. To all these impulses of hate and division and hatred, they can be overcome by this new wave a new, let's say like this, a new wave of educational opportunities based on social justice. Look at the language. Social justice. It doesn't sound social justice like Black Lives Matter kind of language, like United Nations kind of language, like all these leftist, progressive groups, social justice. He uses the word social justice. Now look what he says next. And to love each other. A new global compact of education. This is what he just said. I did not say it. He says it right here. A new global compact of education. Let me return it again because the sound is pretty low and you're not going to be able to hear it. But it says a new global compact of education. You can find this video on YouTube and just put Globalist Compact of Education by Pope Francis. Now, listen again. A new global compact of education. It was put on the table in October with some of the present people right here. He's directing himself to a lot of people that they're in this meeting, that they're globalist people. On behalf, I want to tell you that I appreciate you guys being here to increase our hopes. Increase our hopes and our planifications that we shared in a new system of education a new system of education that foments, that impulses a better human being. The development of a human being and sustainable development of a human being. The dialogue, intercultural and religious, to save the planet. Eso. Échenle, métanle todo ahí. Everything is a piece of the puzzle with these globalist people. You got the need to help. You got the education and to save the planet. What does the globalist compact of education have to do with saving the planet? What? Isn't that the globalist compact of the environment, sir? Doesn't that have to do with the Paris deal, sir? Right? So they put all these words every time they speak. Climate change, border. Like Alexandria Ocasio speaks, it's not a border crisis. It is a climate change crisis. It is a capitalist crisis. It is a prison system crisis. All of these languages, he is using them. Not me. He's using them. These are key words that you guys need to put attention. Every time a globalist person speaks, every time a globalist person wants to accomplish a pact, key words for you to understand why the save the planet, or saving the planet by why? Educating? Don't we have to stop the violence? Don't we have to stop child trafficking? Don't we have to stop human smuggling? Don't we have to stop gun trafficking, drug trafficking, the war that is occurring right now, Pope, in Israel and against in Israel and Gaza, and Israel and Palestine? Don't we have to focus on peace and bring God back to the Creator, back to every school, back to every house? Saving the planet. Amazing. Look what he says next. The encounters for the peace and the open window for God. Wow. The United Nations offer a unique opportunity. Look what he just said. The United Nations offer a unique opportunity. Why? Why the United Nations in this globalist compact? If you are speaking on behalf on your own, if you're the one that is pushing, why the philanthropist, George Soros? Why every global compact under the wing of the United Nations? He just said it. The United Nations offers a unique opportunity. Unbelievable. All this language in one statement of 5 minutes and 46 seconds. Look what he says next. The United Nations, look what he just said. The United Nations is given a unique opportunity. So the governments, let me return it again. The United Nations is offering a unique opportunity. So the governments and the social groups of the world, or the civil social groups of the world, so he's referring to the governments and he's referring to social civil groups. What are these civil social groups? Leftist organizations, leftist nonprofit organizations, leftist, Marxist, activist organizations. He's referring to that. Government and also organizations. It's amazing. Look what he says next. So the United Nations is offering this opportunity for all these leftists to ride on the wing of the United Nations. So these these groups that he just mentioned, so they will jump into a new hope of education.
Cito con gusto el mensaje de reconocimiento de San Pablo VI a las Naciones Unidas.
I am with the great honor to say this message from Juan Pablo VI to the United Nations.
Dice así:
Says this:
Vosotros habéis cumplido, señores, y estáis cumpliendo una gran obra.
we have accomplished, gentlemen, and you guys have accomplished a great task
Enseñar a los hombres la paz.
to teach men peace. Let me ask you a question, Pope. The United Nations is teaching peace around the world? Is the United Nations in Panama in the canal where they are raping women and they are kidnapping women, migrant women? Is the philanthropist George Soros right there with this globalist compact of immigration right there helping with their authority or with money or with something significant? Is the United Nations helping Central America and talking to Juan Orlando Hernandez, the president of Honduras, the most corrupt president in Central and South America? Is he right there? The philanthropist George Soros. If George Soros is in Venezuela helping the people to get food, water, is George Soros and the philanthropist United Nations helping more than 21,000 unaccompanied minors that they have walked from Central America all the way to the border of the United States? Is the philanthropist George Soros helping 170,000 migrants that they cross illegally to the United States of America? Is this philanthropist helping? Question mark. This is the globalist compact of education, people. For everybody that does not know about this, I've been talking about this for more than a year. More than a year, I've been talking about this. That it's coming. It is coming. It is coming. And it is part of a planification. It is pieces of the puzzle. And if you don't fall into their narrative, if you don't want to be a part of this globalist compact of education, you are a racist, you are a narcissist, you are a fascist, you are a xenophobic, you are a conspiracy theorist, you are a MAGA clown, you are all this kind of stuff. If you don't fall into their narrative, and if you don't understand what they are trying to accomplish, that is the complete collapse right now with the Paris deal of the automobile industry to change it to electrical cars to save the planet. And now a new indoctrination of a new globalist education. He says it. I don't say it. He is saying it. I'm not saying that. I'm translating the best that I can of what he's saying. Unbelievable. So for everybody that is watching, Google the globalist compact of, the education for you guys to understand what is going to happen. It's going to happen really nearby. In the next couple of months, you're going to start seeing that these children that they are arriving to the border, they need a system of education. They need an opportunity of education. There's a lot of unaccompanied minors that they're migrating because of the need. There's a lot of unaccompanied minors that they're migrating around the world, and they don't have a place to study. They don't have an education. So who's going to come to the rescue? Ta-da! Philanthropist George Soros with its new system, globalist compact of education. Let's renew the education so we can give an opportunity to everybody. Robin Hood, the philanthropist George Soros. Disgusting. I don't have nothing against children getting an opportunity of education. By globalization, it is not the way. Children should get every opportunity to have an education, to have a future, to have the biggest future that they want, for their dreams to accomplish. In Mexico, I will tell you something. In the United States of America, children wake up one day and they say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they say, I want to be a fireman. I want to be a policeman. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. I want to be an architect. I want to fly an astronaut to NASA. I want to be a president. A president. If you come to Mexico, if they ask a Mexican kid what he wants to be when he grows up, he's just going to tell you, I just want to live. In Venezuela, he's going to tell you exactly the same. I just want to live. I just want to make it. Central America, South America. They don't say they don't have the dream of becoming a president. They just want to live. Every single child in the world deserves an education. If this system that they're trying to create, it is a system to help the children entirely, then I don't think so, because the globalist compact of immigration, it is a broken system that everybody knows that is a broken system. It is so obvious, and only the ignorant people that they don't see that this is a broken system. If this broken system is showing how the globalist compact of immigration works, and it is broken, now imagine if the Paris deal is going to work, and after that, imagine the globalist compact of education, if it's going to work. The new agenda 2030. It is happening, people. It is actually happening in front of our eyes. How's everybody doing? Oscar Blue right here. We have a couple of topics more. Thank you so much for joining. For the people that are just joining, buy me a coffee is on top of the link or the description box if you guys want to support our work. We got right here this new news that it was given out by the Daily Wire. And this is extremely important. Ben Shapiro gave this news that I believe that this guy is phenomenally intelligent, man. He's so intelligent, this man. Really, he's extremely intelligent. Every time that I hear him, you got to catch up, man, with everything. He's extremely intelligent. So it was released on May 13 by Ryan Saavedra that says Israel launches 600 strikes against Palestine terrorists, preeps ground war, no interest in stopping. This is getting worse by the minute. And, a lot of people are saying, pray for Israel. I pray for this to stop it. I'm sorry, I don't have no differences. I pray for this to stop because there's a lot of people in Palestine that they're innocent and they're dying. There's a lot of people in Israel that they're innocent and they're dying. So I pray for this to stop. This has to stop, and it is going to increase apparently. So it says right here, the article says the Israel Defense Forces launch more than 600 surgical strikes against Palestine terrorists and Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad (PIJ) this week in response to the terrorists firing well over 1,000 rockets into Israel. The IDF more recent actions against the terrorists include destroying a Hamas terror tunnel, security and intelligence buildings, eliminating numerous top officers in the terrorist organization, and killing countless numbers of terrorist soldiers. The strikes from IDF, it says right here, come after Palestinian terrorists have fired more than 1,500 rockets. Holy cow, 1,500 rockets into Israel, killing at least 7 people and wounding hundreds. Top Israel defense officials met on Wednesday night and approved a plan to intensify. So this is not going to slow down, people. To intensify military attacks on the terrorist attacks, which Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said earlier in the day was going to happen. The campaign is still far from over. That's what he said, quote unquote. A cabinet member told Israel Why Net News, whatever we don't do now, we will have to do in 6 months or a year from now. Wow. So this is not going to end. It's going to be intensified. And then they add, quote unquote, this will not end in the next few days, said a cabinet member. Israel will not stop and has no interest in stopping. It is all moving in the right direction. We will act until they admit that opening fire was a mistake, just as Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah did after the Second Lebanon War in 2006. The official said that Israel has still not finished with its surgical airstrikes against the terrorists, but once it has, if they do not surrender, Israel will be launching a ground offensive to eliminate the remaining threats. Wow. IDF spokesperson Brigjen Hidai Silverman said all options were on the table and that plans were being drawn up by IDF for a variety of options. The army, quote unquote, they said, will continue to attack to bring a total long-term quiet. Defense Minister Benny Gantz said on Wednesday, only, quote, when we reach the goal, we will be able to speak about a truce. Wow. This is a video by Joe Trusman, a close shot of IDF strikes earlier today against Shoruk Tower. Listen and see this video for yourselves, people. This is unbelievable video right here. Holy cow. Wow. Amazing. So this is the actual situation, in Israel and also in Palestine that is getting intensified and is getting worse by the minute. It is not going to slow down, people. It's going to get worse by the minute. And, people are saying, pray for Israel. It's pray for this to stop, man. I pray for Palestine, pray for Israel, pray for this to stop. This is going to intensify. Now you have the Israel allies, and then you have on the side of who's supporting Hamas, who's supporting Gaza, who's supporting Palestine. You have a lot of the, on the other side, also on the counterpart. So it is until until they come to this agreement that they just said, until they apologize, that I see that far from happening, that Hamas is going to apologize. This is going to continue. And another international news for everybody that is watching. The situation in Venezuela is getting difficult by the minute, but support of apparently Juan Guaido, that is the interim president of Venezuela, backs easing U.S. sanctions as incentive for elections. So there's going to be, they're promising elections now for the next candidacy for president. And you see Juan Guaido right here on his face mask. It says vaccines now. That the population of Venezuela, it is dying of hunger, it is dying of water, it is dying of electricity, they're suffering of all this. And you got the leftists like Alexandria Ocasio blaming it all on the United States of America. But this has been happening since Hugo Chavez started bringing socialism into this beautiful country that is Venezuela. So according to this article released by Reuters on May 12th, Venezuelan opposition leader Juan Guaido proposed on Tuesday a progressive lifting of U.S. sanctions as an incentive for President Nicolas Maduro to schedule a free and fair election. Look at this guy, man. He's challenging Nicolas Maduro to a free, fair election with parties opposed to his government. Guaido, in a video on his Twitter account, proposed a national agreement, quote unquote, including timetable for general elections in the South American country involving an opposition coalition as well as Maduro ruling Socialist Party. The proposal suggests the opposition may be willing to reverse its strategy of electoral abstention and resume negotiations with the government. After talks of the collapse in 2019 in December, most of the opposition boycotted legislative elections, saying voting conditions were not fair. The OPEC nation is preparing for a gubernatorial elections this year. That is incredibly important, the OPEC. Venezuela is expecting the worst crisis in its entire history, said Guaido, quote unquote, adding, we must reach an agreement to save Venezuela. This is what socialism does, man, to a country. And you got these socialistic communist leaders in the United States, Congress leaders in the United States, that they want to bring this to the United States of America. Guaido said that any agreement must include a schedule for, quote unquote, free and fair presidential preliminary, regional, and municipal elections with international observers, democratic guarantees, and entry of humanitarian aid and COVID-19 vaccines. The progressive lifting of sanctions will be contingent on Maduro's government adhering to those conditions, among others. Maduro responded on Tuesday night during a live broadcast on state television, saying the opposition was looking to participate in elections this year. If he, Nicolas Maduro, referring to Guaido, wants to join the dialogues that are already underway, development all issues, he is welcome to join. That is what Nicolas Maduro said. So this is a crisis, a humanitarian crisis, absolutely, what is going on right now in Venezuela. And ultimately, it is this difficult situation in Venezuela. Really difficult situation in Venezuela. People don't care about the money. People don't care about the paper that is on the floor. You will see money laying down on the floor that is invaluable because the Simón Bolívar, el bolivariano, the money over there, it is so inflated. The economy is so inflated that it's not even valuable. Really is not. People are basically just living on a necessity. That is necessity for water, necessity for food, and necessity for electricity. So hopefully this agreement for the United States to ease on the sanctions so they can have a fair election, and it will ease the process to save Venezuela, not to get the economy boosted, not to get the kids back in school, not to just la la he ho. No, it's just to save the country from socialism, because it does not work. For people that are saying socialism works and communism works, ask Cuba, ask Venezuela if it works. The countries that they have been more catastrophe on these two, communist and socialistic systems. So this is what is actually happening in Venezuela. Now, I want to end this broadcast with this, this guy right here, that he is a complete embarrassment for our country. And he's throwing a left hook and a right hook right every now and then to let everybody know that he's probably going to reelect himself. This is our president. And a lot of people in the United States say, oh, that's not my president. I'm more of a reality guy. In my country of Mexico, I'm more of a reality guy. And the reality is that he is the president. He is the one that is taking the decisions for our country. And he is the actual president. I don't like him, but he's the president, whether I like it or not. So it says right here, this article released by El Universal, it says AMLO, that is for people that a lot of people have asked me this. Why you say AMLO, Oscar? AMLO is his initials for his full name. So it's A for Andrés, M for Manuel, L for López, and O for Obrador. Andrés Manuel López Obrador, AMLO, for everybody that, first time catching that, because there's a lot of people that have been asking, that's his name, AMLO? No, that's not his name. That is, that is an initials for his full name. So it says, ironically, says something about re-election on a speech. And he says, I have 6 years to go as work. It is doubling up. He's 3 years into his government. And he just gave a statement saying, me quedan 6 años porque como trabajo al doble. I have 6 years to go because I'm working double. So it gives he's been giving these little left and right hooks. on these morning conferences. He's been saying that consistently, that he's going to probably stay in government, and probably I should reelect myself. I should stay. And then he laughs like this, right here, like this video that I will show you right here. This video, as after he says the little ironical, line or catchphrase, he laughs. I'm not gonna do it, but in the interior, that he wants to do it. Look at this.
No va a haber reelección. No va a haber reelección. Si eso es también lo que les preocupa.
There's not going to be a re-election if that is the thing that is preoccupying you.
Me quedan todavía 6 años.
I still have 6 years to go when he's almost on 3 years. But he says I still have 6 years to go. And he stays quiet. These are strategies from dictators. These are strategies from communists. This is how they speak. Watch every communist, every socialist, every single one. They say a word and they stay quiet so you can understand, digest, get it into your brain, not get it out, stay there for a little bit, manipulate your brain, and then he speaks again. Globalist, like the Pope was saying, consistently globalist, consistently globalist. This is what they do. This is politician language. And then he goes and says this.
Porque formalmente me quedan 3.
Why? Because formerly I got 3 years to go as a president.
Pero como trabajo al doble,
but since I work double,
son 6.
There's 6.
O sea, vamos a seguir.
Just saying, we're going to keep going.
Transformando el país.
Transforming the country.
Ya sentamos las bases.
We already put the basis. Look how he's just throwing it to the people that he's going to do something, man.
Afortunadamente lo hemos logrado.
Fortunately, we have accomplished.
Sin violencia.
Without violence. Look at this ridiculous president. Without violence. Without violence, a guy that has more than 85,000 murders in his first 2.5, almost 3 years. The guy that has 5 cities on the top 5 for violence and delinquents in the world. The guy that has 19 cities on the top 50 of the world. The guy that has Mexico as the number 1 for cartel activity, number 2 for child trafficking, number 2 for killings of women in Latin America, number 4 for clandestine burials, and number 5 for human smuggling. That guy is saying straight to your face, without violence. It's just unbelievable. These communistic dictator, crazy people, how they see their world. They live on another planet, and then they come and they land with their globalist helicopter in their country that they're ruling, and they're like, "Ta-da, I'm right here. Everything looks phenomenal. Let me just leave. Oh, before you leave, Mr. President, can you do a morning conference? Oh yeah. With no violence. Goodbye." They leave, and then in the helicopter, Mr. President, we got more than 85,000 murders and no violence, Derek. It's just unbelievable. Look at the last thing that he says. There have been 3 transformations in the history of our country. The independence, the independence, the reform, and the revolution. And we are accomplishing the 4th transformation. This is why they call it the Cuarta Transformación, the 4th transformation of the social public life of Mexico. And it's a really deep transformation. Same as deep. It's exactly the same as the independence, as the reform of the country, and the revolution. This guy has no shame at all. It's a complete insult to our heroes, Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla, Morelos, el primer presidente de nuestro país, the first president of our country, Guadalupe Victoria. It is a complete insult to Emiliano Zapata, to Pancho Villa, for people that fought for the indigenous, for the poor, for our country. It is a complete insult a Francisco y Madero, a Benito Juárez. It is a complete insult to them that you have the country like this. A complete insult of what you're saying. You are crazy. You are number one for cartel activity, buddy. More than 85,000 murders in your almost 3 years. You have an influx of migrants problems in your country, an economical collapse. You are -1, an economical increase. You're -8 on the gross domestic product. Mexico is not growing. Mexico is stepping back for every time. You live in another planet. This guy, unbelievable. This is why we have to fight for the justice of the people. This is why I have consistently said all the time, people that accuse me, oh, you right-wing, retard or whatever. I'm not a right-wing, buddy. I'm not even a left-wing. I'm not a right. I'm not a left. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm not for a political party in Mexico. PRI, PAN, PRD, Partido del Trabajo, Ecologista, Morena. Hell with the political parties. I am for the justice of the indigenous poor people and for the capitalism to give opportunities for the people. This man is lying to the people. As Joe Biden is lying to their people, as Trudeau is lying to their people, as Nicolás Maduro lied to his people of Venezuela, as, Juan Orlando Hernández lied to his people in Honduras, as the president of Argentina lying to his people, as Vladimir Putin lying to his people, Alexander Lukashenko in Belarus lying to his people, Angela Merkel in Germany lying to their people, as Macron in France lying to their people, as Boris Johnson in the UK lying to their people. This is about justice for the people that pay you to be there, sitting down, talking, telling lies at every single morning conference. Unbelievable. It is really important that we watch every language and we have these catchphrases of them so we can understand and we can educate our children to not fall into this lies, systematic lies, people. How's everybody doing? I'm Oscar Blue for Border Network News. Good morning to everybody. Thank you for joining 11:49 in the morning over here on the 13th of May. I think it's 13. Yeah. Thursday, 13 of May. Thank you so much for joining this morning. God bless every single one of you that is sharing this video. Like this video and share. Also, buy me a coffee is on the top of the link and also in the description box. If you guys want to support my independent reporting, thank you so much. If you want to contribute to my work, also my PayPal is right there. Support my partner, Real Anthony Agüero. I believe that he's in Arizona. I think that he's in Arizona. I don't know where he's at. He's always, flying everywhere. I don't know where he's at. I saw him on the plane the other day. It was really really nice. We were laughing about it. But he is, I don't know where he's at. But follow Real Anthony Agüero right now, my partner. He was live at a particular place at a protest where, Latinos are defending, their political stand and also not falling into the leftist narrative, into not even a right-wing narrative, just defending their point of view and just defending their right. So follow my partner, Real Anthony Agüero. He's in Arizona. Okay, thank you so much. Follow him at every platform that exists in the world. Also, you can follow Ben Berquam at Real America's Voice News. Download the app at Roku. Follow Real America's Voice News, the voice of the people. Will Johnson and Unite America First. Follow him at every platform. And also Miss Sarah Carter at Fox News, also at every platform that exists. Thank you so much. God bless you all. Viva Mexico, and por siempre Mexico. And God bless the United States of America. And like we always say, people, peace and love. Because always your country's first. Thank you so much. God bless.
Y ya van días y varias semanas.
He hasn't given no response, and it's been days and it's been weeks, and he hasn't said anything. Espero logren su objetivo de la justicia a su país. Luchen por su país. Say the best sacrifice for your country. Están bloqueando el acceso. ¡Viva! Porque la Policía Federal o la autoridad nos está deteniendo el acceso y nos está deteniendo el paso para poder cruzar hacia el Zócalo, señores.